paper across the table to Mike. "It's all we have," she said. "There isn't much to go on." Mike and Kate were in the press room at Wrigley Field. They had come early so Kate's mom could do some work. Mike and Kate were still trying to figure out who was after the Cubs. Mike picked up the piece of paper. It was the note that Kate had found tied around Billy's neck back in Boston. Kate tapped the note. "Check out the handwriting," she said. "The D's and O's are boxy and square. All we have to do is find out who wrote this note, and we'll know who's making the Cubs lose." Mike let out a sigh. "But that could be anyone," he said. Kate nodded. "But we know that it's someone who travels with the team or had access to both stadiums. And it's someone who can get into the clubhouse because they swapped the mud. I wish we knew more about people who work for the Cubs," Mike said. "Me too," Kate said. She twirled a strand of hair around her finger. "Hey, I know someone who does. Let's go ask Red Remy." Mike's face broke into a wide smile. "Great idea," he said. "High five." They smacked a high five and then started walking down the long row of desks in the press room. Reporters' names were written in black marker at each desk so they would know where to sit. Mike and Kate walked along the back row of workstations looking for Red's name. Red wasn't at his desk. He was standing on the next level with another reporter. They were talking and laughing. "It's too bad it worked out this way," Red said. "This should have been the White Sox World Series. Instead, we're stuck with the Cubs." Mike grabbed Kate's arm and pulled her down under the rows of desks above Red. There was a small gap between the floor and the front of the desk. "Shh," Mike whispered. Then he put his eye up to the small gap. Kate did the same thing. It was easy to see and hear Red and the other reporter from their hidden spot under the desk. Back in Boston, it sure seemed like the Cubs were about to win the series, the other reporter said. Red nodded. "I know," he said, "but it's good that Boston has come back. You know what I say, I've got two favorite teams, the White Sox and whoever's beating the Cubs." The other reporter laughed. "Well, now that Luis Lopez is suspended, it looks like that will be the Red Sox tonight," he said. Red giggled. "Just the way it should be," he said. Mike's eyes widened as he looked at Kate. "Follow me," she whispered and tugged Mike's arm. She crept out from under the desk and shot back to the table across the room. Mike followed. When they got there, Kate pulled out the note from the goat again. "Did you hear that?" Mike asked. "Yes," Kate said, "and it made me think of something. Hang on." She stood up and fished around in her back pocket for something. A moment later, she pulled out another piece of paper and plopped it on the table next to the goat note. It was the index card that Red had written his contact information on for them back in Boston. Kate lined up the notes and studied them. Her eyes widened. She tapped the goat note. "Do you see what I'm seeing?" she asked. Mike stared at the notes and nodded. "Yep." He said they were written by the same person. Mike was right. The D's and O's in both notes were boxy and square. And the slope and spacing of all the letters and words matched. The handwriting was exactly the same. Red's the one who's been messing up the Cubs, Kate said. And now we know why. Because he's a White Sox fan, Mike said. He's trying to sabotage the Cubs so the Red Sox can win. We've got to tell Louie, Kate said. Mike was about to agree when something caught his eye. It was Red. He had a black bag slung over his shoulder, and he was opening the press room door. We don't have time, Mike said. Red's taking off. We've got to follow him.